after the pups are weaned at day 21, it gives us the perfect chance to finally go in and do standardized behavioral testing for things that aren't related to maternal behavior. So we
Right.
could look at, how do they respond in a novel environment? They would look at their stress reactivity. We could look at behaviors that are indicative of what we would call behavioral despair or depressive-like behavior. And we would do a standard test battery at the 2 week time point. So it'd be roughly 2 weeks after they got their injection. And so our first hope was we'll see reinstatement of caregiving behaviors and everything will look normal at the 24-hour point. And then our second hope was 2 weeks later, we'll see antidepressant, anti-anxiety effects of the treatment.
Got it. So you look, so one day later, you don't see what you hoped for. Her
Mhm.
behavior is still looking frantic, let's say. It's not looking that much better or not better at all. I'll let you tell me. And so I guess that's observation number one. The psilocybin didn't seem to help in the short term in that first 24 hours.
Correct. No differences between the psilocybin and the controls.
Got it. And then you wait. And then what do you see?
And then we wait 2 weeks later, and then we run the animals through a test battery. So, again, just to set this up, we did tests that are related to cognition. We did tests that are related to anxiety like behaviors. We did tests that are related to depressive like behaviors. And what we found is across all of these tests, we did not have any antidepressant or anti-anxiety
Mhm.
effects. But we did have, you're going to
I was
say,
gonna, so, but correct me if I'm wrong. In other conditions, you give a mouse psilocybin, you do see antidepressant effects in these types of behavioral paradigms?
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes,
Okay.
sorry, yes,
So it's not, this is, you're
yes.
not seeing it in this context, but other experimenters do see this antidepressant like effect, which is akin to what we see in humans, we think, in these types of behavioral paradigms. So I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Thanks for, should have said that. This is why we chose these particular behavioral tests. We were really looking for what has been done, what has been found, and let's create a small test battery to get at some of those things. And that's where we had our most surprising outcome, which was that, you know, we didn't see, we did actually see significant changes associated with psilocybin, but they were in the inverse direction that we expected. And we saw them regardless of whether or not animals experienced stress.
Wow.
So across all females that were treated with psilocybin, the biggest effect that we saw was an anxiogenic effect
Hmm.
or an increase in anxiety behavior on two tests that measure exploration of a novel environments are
Yeah.
really stressful for mice.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, there are mothers you expose to the stress of a male being present that disrupts their normal behavior. That makes them more anxiety like in their behavior in general. You give them psilocybin, it does not help with that. And it actually makes it worse to some extent. And you also see the same type of what we can just call an anxiety like response to mothers who are not even exposed to that stress.
That's exactly right. And we actually didn't, to be clear about this, we did, I mentioned we had a 2x2 design. So when you have a 2x2 design, essentially you are looking at two independent variables and you can ask whether or not each one of those variables impacts your outcome, but also whether there's an interaction between
Yeah.
those variables. So we were looking at stress in the postpartum period, psilocybin exposure, and then of course the question of whether the two interact, which was our hypothesis.